Bitcoin has provided over 26,000% of gains over the past decade. But with this incredibly simple strategy, you would have massively outperformed this. If you only watch one look into Bitcoin video ever again, it should probably be this one. Today, we're going to be looking at a very, very simple strategy that has historically outperformed Bitcoin's buy and hold returns from all the way back in the bottom of the bear cycle of 2015. And the big basis of this strategy is the global M2 versus BTC year-on-year chart we have here on Look Into Bitcoin. Now, this is going to be a slight alteration of this metric. So to do this, I've actually utilized the Look Into Bitcoin API. But this can also be done with a CSV data download down here. And if you don't have access to the Look Into Bitcoin API or CSV downloads, I definitely recommend getting a site subscription, because the way you can manipulate this data to come up with very amazingly performing custom metrics makes it very much worth it. So what we have here is the Look Into Bitcoin API, and all I've done is pulled that global M2 year-on-year data. And then from that, very simple, I've just applied a 200 simple period moving average to that data. I'll bring it across here so it's a bit clearer. And on this data, we can very clearly see this red line, which is the moving average, and then the raw data, which is this blue line. And we can see these very clear and obvious crosses on this moving average. And like a typical moving average crossover, once something moves above that moving average, it's typically something quite bullish. And when we move beneath the moving average, it's typically quite bearish. And immediately what we can see here is the very obvious cyclical trends in this global M2 year-on-year data. Once this is increasing massively, the moving average is increasing, and it suggests that the global supply of fiat money, cash and cash equivalents, is increasing. Global governments, central banks are printing, and they're making a huge amount of supply of fiat money, potentially to stimulate the economy. And that typically leads to a lower demand of fiat money, and maybe an increased demand, an increased risk on sentiment and appetite for assets such as Bitcoin. So we typically see a huge amount of parallel correlation between M2 money increasing, the Bitcoin price increasing, and vice versa. So like I said, this is a very simple strategy. All we're doing is buying once we see the global M2 year-on-year cross above this moving average, and selling when it crosses beneath. And that gives the clearest indications of when to buy and sell BTC you could imagine. And over the past, like I said, 10 years, it's actually outperformed buying BTC at this first signal at the bottom of the 2015 bear cycle, when price was only about $230. It's outperformed that. So what I'll do is I'll show you the exact trades and returns, the prices we entered and exited, and it's only 5 trades. And we have just received another one of these signals. So here we can see the data does look a little messy, and I can just scroll across here so you can see it. There's a lot of signals. When we get these crosses above and beneath these moving averages, it's typically followed by a quick cross above and beneath a few more times. If I just go back here, you can see in these periods where we have a cross, a dip beneath, a cross, a dip beneath, what I've done to actually clarify these signals is just use the first signal we get. So if we have 5 crosses, a few days apart, just to clarify that, I've removed those re-signals, given these entry and exit signals a little bit of leeway, a little bit of breathing room. Then if I go back to the chart here, we can see that this first green signal, the first buy signal we got from this strategy, the 23rd of April 2015, when the Bitcoin price was, like I said, $236. The first entry signal was 181% profit. The second one, 348% profit. And what you can see is this isn't a strategy that is buying at the exact bottoms and selling at the exact tops. If I just move a little bit, we can actually see that up here in the very peak here, we were selling way after the Bitcoin bull cycle top. And down here, we weren't buying right at the bottom of the bear cycle. I mean, in this instance, we did sell pretty much at the top. And then most recently here, again, we sold way before this big run up we've had to the new all-time high up here. So we can see it's not as if we're buying and selling the exact tops. This is just removing huge drawdown periods and compounding the returns. So if I go back to this chart here, add myself back on, and then we go to this sheet here, we can actually see how this is calculating. We can see that the first one we had 181.29% returns, then 348. So over the course of these 5 signals, we've seen 31,105% returns from this strategy. Then, like I said, since buying it $236 all them years ago, you wouldn't have performed better than this. If I just go back and find the exact day, so the April 23rd, 2015, let's find it here. The opening price on that day, $236, all the way to where current price action is today at around $61,000 as I film this. We would have seen returns of about 26,000%. Now, obviously, this would have been slightly higher than that, given the fact that we're, as I'm filming this, have seen about a 20% retracement from the previous all-time high. But ultimately, this is pretty incredible that from 5 signals, you'd have outperformed buy and hold from $236 on Bitcoin. And like I said, if we go back to this API sheet here, we have just seen another signal on this metric, just crossed above this moving average for the global M2 supply. So really, if history is anything to go by, this is probably one of the best Bitcoin buy signals we can see. And it's definitely indicating more risk on appetite as this bull cycle continues and over the next few months and years as the M2 money supply continues to increase. Also, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to ensure you're receiving all of our content as soon as it's released. And make sure to check out all the resources we've discussed today, as well as the many more that are all available on lookintobitcoin.com, your number one source for Bitcoin information. So just to summarize, the global M2 year-on-year chart gives us insights into the expanding or shrinking supply of fiat money in circulation around the world, and shares obvious parallels to the cyclical BTC price trends. And I definitely can say this isn't correlation, this is causation. Once we see the M2 money supply considerably increasing, that is what is leading to more risk on sentiment, to better conditions for Bitcoin bull cycles. And again, it's incredibly obvious from this chart. Once we see the M2 money supply decreasing, this causes BTC bear cycles. This is one of, if not the most important chart we should be watching, not just right now, but over the coming months and years. And simply applying a 200 period moving average to this data to see the long-term cycles and see the exact trend changes in this data gives us amazing entry and exit signals when looking for this data and moving average crossover. And since early 2015, April 2015, when the Bitcoin price was only $233.65, using these signals to buy and sell while compounding your returns has outperformed BTC, the best performing asset globally over the last decade, providing over 26,000% returns from that initial buy entry to the Bitcoin price cycle peak we've seen. These signals have outperformed that. And we have just seen another one of these signals, another one of these Bitcoin buy entry signals. So definitely be keeping a close eye on this data. And as long as this trend of increasing, expanding fiat money supply continues, then we're very much likely to see considerably more bullish conditions over the coming weeks and months. If you like this video, then please visit lookintobitcoin.com, where you can also consider becoming a site subscriber to get access to professional resolution charts, advanced macro and portfolio data tools, in-depth crypto industry reports, live and personalized indicator alerts, private TradingView scripts, and more, all for a fraction of the standard industry price. And let me know what your thoughts are on potentially using these incredibly simple Bitcoin buy and exit signals using this global M2 money supply chart and a 200 period moving average. And I'd also like to thank all of our viewers, all of our subscribers, commenters, people that just watch the videos, everyone that follows us on social media platforms and engages with us, the Look Into Bitcoin team. We really appreciate your support over the past couple years. And me personally, I would just like to thank you for all the positive feedback I've received. It's been an amazing 2 years for us here at the Look Into Bitcoin channel, and we can't wait to continue providing amazing content to you, the viewer. Thank you all very much for watching.